I waited for my son's wedding day, but I wasn't invited. Part 2. The weeks following that coffee shop conversation were delicate and complicated. Trevor and I started meeting every other week, always just the two of us, always in neutral locations like restaurants or parks, never at my house or his apartment. We were circling each other like two wounded animals, wanting connection, but afraid of more pain. Our conversations during those meetings were different from anything we'd had before. More honest, more raw. Less about pretending everything was fine, and more about acknowledging that everything had been broken and we were trying to figure out if the pieces could fit back together. Vanessa doesn't know about these meetings, does she? I asked during our third coffee date. Trevor looked uncomfortable. She knows I'm seeing you. She's not happy about it, but I told her this wasn't negotiable, that you're my mother and I need to have a relationship with you. How did she take that? I asked, though I could already guess. Not well, Trevor admitted. She says I'm choosing you over her, that I'm not respecting our marriage, that my therapist would say I'm reverting to unhealthy patterns. He paused. She suggested I'm being manipulated by you. The accusation stung, even secondhand. And what do you think? Trevor met my eyes directly. I think I'm finally making my own decisions, instead of letting someone else make them for me, even if those decisions are hard, even if they cause conflict. It was the strongest thing I'd heard him say in years, a glimmer of the man I'd raised him to be, independent, thoughtful, willing to stand up for what was right, even when it was difficult. I'm proud of you, I said softly. Trevor's eyes filled with tears. I haven't heard you say that in so long. I've been proud of you your whole life, Trevor, I said. Even when I was hurt and angry, I was still proud of you. That never changed. We sat in silence for a moment, the words settling between us like a bridge slowly being rebuilt, plank by plank. Mum, I need to ask you something, Trevor said finally. And I need you to be honest with me. Okay. Was I a burden to you? His voice cracked. Growing up, being raised by a single mum, all the sacrifices you had to make? Was I a burden you resented? My heart broke at the question. Trevor? No. Never. Not for one single second. You were never a burden. You were my joy, my purpose, my reason for everything. Every sacrifice I made was made with love, not resentment. But you gave up so much for me, Trevor said. Your education, your social life, relationships, opportunities. How could you not resent me for that? I reached across the table and took his hand. Because loving you was never a sacrifice in the way you're thinking. Yes, I made choices that were hard. Yes, there were things I didn't get to do because I was raising you alone. But those choices were worth it because they were for you. You were never the problem, Trevor. Your father leaving was the problem. Poverty was the problem. A society that doesn't support single mothers was the problem. But you were always the solution. You were what made all of it bearable. Trevor was crying now, tears streaming down his face. Vanessa said that you used your sacrifices as a weapon to control me, to make me feel guilty for having my own life. Do you believe that? I asked gently. I don't know what I believe anymore, Trevor said. I'm so confused about everything, about what's true and what's been twisted around, about who I am separate from what other people tell me I should be. Maybe that's what you need to figure out, I suggested. Not what Vanessa thinks, not what I think, what you think, who you are when you're not trying to please everyone around you. Trevor nodded slowly. My therapist, the one I'm seeing on my own, not the couples therapist Vanessa picked, said something similar. that I need to develop a stronger sense of self. You're seeing a therapist? I asked, surprised and pleased. Yeah, started a few weeks ago. It's helping, I think. Helping me see patterns I didn't recognize before. He hesitated. Patterns in my relationship with Vanessa that maybe aren't as healthy as I thought. I wanted to jump on that statement, to tell him everything I'd seen and feared about his relationship with Vanessa. But Dr. Chen had warned me about this, that pushing too hard would only drive Trevor back into Vanessa's arms, would make him defensive and protective of his marriage. I'm glad you're seeing someone, I said instead. Therapy can be really valuable. I've been seeing someone too since all of this happened. You have? Trevor looked surprised. Yes. I needed help processing everything, figuring out how to move forward. It's been hard, Trevor. Really hard. Harder than anything I've been through, including your father leaving. I'm so sorry, Trevor whispered. I'm so sorry I hurt you like that. I know you are, I said. And I'm working on forgiveness. But it's a process. We can't just skip over the hurt and go back to how things were. We have to build something new. I want to build something new, Trevor said. Something better. Something honest. It felt like progress. Slow, painful progress, but progress nonetheless. As spring turned into summer, I noticed changes in Trevor during our meetings. He looked tired, stressed. He'd lost weight. There were new lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. Are you okay? I asked during one of our walks through the park. You look exhausted. Trevor sighed heavily. Things at home are tense. Vanessa is angry that I'm spending time with you. She thinks you're trying to break up our marriage. We fight about it constantly. I'm not trying to break up your marriage, I said carefully. I'm trying to have a relationship with my son. Those are two different things. I know, Trevor said. But Vanessa sees any relationship with you as a threat to us. She says I can't have both, that I have to choose between my wife and my mother. The ultimatum made my blood run cold. And what do you say to that? I say that's not a reasonable choice to ask someone to make, Trevor said, and there was anger in his voice. Anger I'd never heard directed at Vanessa before. I say that healthy people don't make their partners cut off their families. But she just says I'm not understanding her needs, that I'm invalidating her feelings. We walked in silence for a few minutes. I wanted desperately to tell him what I thought, that this was manipulation, that this was control, that this was exactly what abusers do. But I held my tongue. My therapist asked me to make a list, Trevor said finally. A list of all the relationships in my life that have ended or become distant since I started dating Vanessa. Do you know how long that list was, Mum? How long? 13 people, Trevor said. 13 friends, family members, colleagues, all people that Vanessa had some issue with, some reason why they were toxic or negative or bad for me. At the time, I accepted her explanations. But seeing them all written down like that... His voice trailed off. What did you think when you saw the list? I asked gently. I thought maybe the problem wasn't all those other people, Trevor said quietly. Maybe the problem was the person who convinced me they were all problems. It was the closest he'd come to acknowledging the truth about Vanessa. My heart ached for him, for the painful realization he was approaching, for the difficult decisions that would follow. What are you going to do? I asked. I don't know, Trevor admitted. She's my wife. I made vows. I can't just give up on my marriage because things are hard. No, you can't, I agreed. But you also can't stay in a relationship that requires you to give up everyone else you love. That's not a marriage, Trevor. That's isolation. He didn't respond, but I could see the truth of my words landing, could see him wrestling with it. 2 weeks later, Trevor called me at 11 o'clock at night. I was already in bed, reading, when my phone rang. I grabbed it immediately, my heart pounding. Late-night calls were never good news. "Trevor? What's wrong?" "Mom, can I come over?" His voice was shaking, raw. I just need to not be here right now." "Of course, come over. I'll put coffee on." 20 minutes later, Trevor was sitting at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd helped him with countless homework assignments, where we'd eaten countless meals, where we'd had countless conversations over the years. He looked wrecked, red-eyed, disheveled, barely holding himself together. "What happened?" I asked, setting a mug of coffee in front of him. "We had a huge fight," Trevor said. "The worst one yet. She found out that I've been seeing you regularly, that we've been meeting for weeks. She went through my phone, read all our text messages." "She went through your phone?" I asked, alarmed. "She does that sometimes," Trevor said, and the casual way he said it made my stomach turn. "Says it's normal in a marriage, that couples shouldn't have secrets from each other." That wasn't normal. That was controlling. But I bit my tongue. "She was furious," Trevor continued. "Said I've been lying to her, sneaking around behind her back. She called you awful names, Mom. Said terrible things about you that I'm not going to repeat. And when I defended you, when I told her she couldn't talk about you like that..." He stopped, his voice breaking. "What happened?" I asked softly. "She told me I had to choose. Right then, right there. Either I cut you out of my life completely, no contact, no meetings, nothing, or she was leaving. She started packing a bag, said she was going to her parents' house. That our marriage was over if I couldn't prioritize her over my toxic mother." My hands tightened around my own coffee mug. "What did you do?" "I told her I wasn't going to choose," Trevor said. "I told her that wasn't a fair ultimatum, that I loved her, but I also loved you, and that she needed to find a way to accept that. I told her I'd go to couples counseling, I'd work on whatever issues she felt we had. But I wasn't cutting my mother out of my life." Pride swelled in my chest, alongside fear for what this meant for him. "How did she respond?" "She left," Trevor said simply. "Packed a bag and left. That was 3 hours ago. She's not answering my calls or texts. Her mum called me and screamed at me for an hour about how I'm a terrible husband, how I'm choosing my manipulative mother over my wife, how Vanessa deserves better." He looked up at me, his eyes full of pain and confusion. Did I just destroy my marriage? I moved around the table and wrapped my arms around him, holding him like I had when he was small and the world had hurt him. He sobbed into my shoulder, great heaving sobs that shook his whole body. "You didn't destroy anything," I said firmly. "You stood up for yourself. You set a boundary. You refused to accept an unreasonable ultimatum. That's not destruction, Trevor. That's strength." "But what if she doesn't come back?" he asked. "What if this is it?" "Then maybe it needs to be," I said gently. "I know that's not what you want to hear. I know you love her. But Trevor, a partner who truly loves you, wouldn't make you choose between them and your family. They wouldn't isolate you from everyone else in your life. They wouldn't go through your phone without permission, or give you ultimatums, or call your mother terrible names." "I know," Trevor whispered. "I know. But I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to admit that I'd made a mistake, that I'd married someone who..." He couldn't finish the sentence. You didn't make a mistake, I said. You fell in love with someone who showed you one version of themselves and gradually revealed another. That's not your fault. But what you do now, that's your choice. Trevor stayed at my house that night, sleeping in his old bedroom that I'd kept exactly as he'd left it when he moved out. I heard him crying through the wall, and it took everything in me not to go to him. But he needed to process this, needed to grieve, needed to come to his own conclusions. The next morning, Trevor and I had breakfast together at my small kitchen table. He looked exhausted, but calmer, like the storm had passed and left behind a strange, hollow peace. I need to figure out what I want, Trevor said, pushing scrambled eggs around his plate. Not what Vanessa wants, not what you want. What I want. That's wise, I said. Can I stay here for a few days? He asked. Just until I get my head straight. You can stay as long as you need to, I said. This will always be your home, Trevor, no matter what. Over the next week, Vanessa called and texted constantly. I only knew because Trevor told me. He'd stopped responding after the first day. The messages, according to Trevor, alternated between furious accusations and tearful apologies, between threats to file for divorce and promises to change if he'd just come home. It's textbook, Trevor said, during one of our evening conversations on the porch. I looked it up. The cycle of abuse, tension building, incident, reconciliation, calm, over and over. How did I not see it? Because you loved her, I said. And because abusers are often very good at making you think you're the problem. I need to talk to my therapist, Trevor said. Figure out what to do next. Whether to try to make this work or end it. I finished gently. Yeah, Trevor said. Or end it. 3 days later, after an intensive session with his therapist, Trevor made his decision. He called Vanessa and asked to meet in person, in a public place, with his therapist present. I'm going to tell her I want a separation, Trevor told me the night before the meeting. Maybe temporary, maybe permanent. I don't know yet. But I need space from her to figure out who I am without her voice in my head, constantly telling me what to think and feel. How do you feel about that? I asked. Terrified, Trevor admitted. Sad, relieved, guilty, all of it at once. That's normal, I assured him. This is a huge decision. You're allowed to have complicated feelings about it. The next evening, Trevor came back from his meeting with Vanessa, looking drained but resolute. How did it go? I asked. About how you'd expect, Trevor said. She cried, said I was destroying our marriage over nothing, accused me of being brainwashed by you and my therapist. But I held firm. I told her I needed at least 3 months apart, minimum. No contact except through our lawyers to work out the practical stuff. Lawyers? I asked, my heart sinking. Yeah, Trevor said heavily. I think we're heading for divorce, Mum. I don't think this is fixable. My therapist helped me see that the problems in our marriage aren't just communication issues or normal couple stuff. They're fundamental incompatibilities in how we view relationships, respect, autonomy. Vanessa wants a partner she can control. I want a partner who sees me as an equal. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it. I was sorry he was hurting, sorry his marriage had turned out this way, even if I believed it was the right decision. I'm not, Trevor said, surprising me. I mean, I'm sad, but I'm not sorry. For the first time in 3 years, I feel like I can breathe, like I can think my own thoughts without someone telling me they're wrong, like I can see people I care about without feeling guilty. That's not how a marriage should feel. He was right. and I was so proud of him for recognizing it. Over the following months, Trevor and I slowly rebuilt our relationship. It wasn't easy. There was still hurt that needed to be healed, trust that needed to be re-earned. But we were both committed to doing the work. We went to family therapy together, which Dr. Chen had recommended. Sitting in that small office with a neutral third party helping us communicate was awkward at first, but it helped us say things we'd been afraid to say to each other. "I need you to know that I forgive you," I told Trevor during one session. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean the hurt is gone. It means I'm choosing to not let the hurt define our relationship going forward. "I understand," Trevor said. "And I need you to know that I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving to you that you can trust me again. I'm going to show up, Mum. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be the son you deserve." Slowly, carefully, we created new patterns. Sunday dinners at my house became our regular tradition again. We started watching movies together, texting each other funny things throughout the week, sharing our lives in small and large ways. Trevor started bringing me to work events as his plus one, introducing me proudly as his mother. "This is my mum, Margot," he'd say. "She's an architect, and she raised me single-handedly, and she's the strongest person I know." Each time he said it, each time he claimed me publicly after years of being hidden and excluded, another piece of my broken heart healed. One evening, about 6 months after Trevor had left Vanessa, we were having dinner at my house when he said, "I need to apologize to you again for the wedding, for excluding you from what should have been one of the happiest days of both our lives." "Trevor, we've talked about this." "No. Let me finish," he interrupted gently. "I've been thinking about it a lot, especially as the divorce paperwork moves forward. That wedding, that marriage, it wasn't real. It wasn't built on love and respect and partnership. It was built on control and manipulation, and me being too weak to stand up for what was right." "You weren't weak," I protested. "I was," Trevor said firmly. "But I'm not anymore. And when I get married again, if I get married again, it's going to be different. You're going to be there, front and center. You're going to help plan it. You're going to be part of every moment, because that's what should happen. That's what I should have done the first time." Tears streamed down my face. "I'd like that." "And Mom?" Trevor reached across the table to take my hand. "I know I can never give you back what I took from you. I can never give you back that day, those photos, those memories. But I want you to know that you're special. You've always been special. You're the most special person in my life, and I'm sorry I ever made you feel otherwise." Those words, "you're special," were the words that had haunted me since that terrible day when Vanessa had told me otherwise. Hearing Trevor say them now, hearing him reclaim me as someone who mattered, someone who was valued, someone who was loved, it felt like coming home after a long, painful exile. As my relationship with Trevor healed, other parts of my life began to blossom in unexpected ways. The book club became a central part of my social life. The women there, Beth, Lorraine, Nancy, and Julie, became real friends, the kind who called to check on me, who invited me to movies and dinners, who showed up when I needed support. My volunteer work at the youth centre expanded. The coordinator asked if I'd be willing to lead a mentoring program for kids from single-parent homes, using my own experiences to help guide them. I said yes, and found that helping these kids gave me a sense of purpose that I'd been missing. I even started dating, tentatively, nervously, after Jennifer convinced me to try one of those online dating apps. "You're 51, not dead," Jennifer had said bluntly. "You're allowed to have a life that isn't just about being Trevor's mum." His name was Paul, and he was a high school history teacher. Kind, funny, divorced with 2 grown kids of his own. We went on a few dates, nothing serious, but it felt good to be seen as a woman rather than just a mother. To have someone look at me with appreciation and interest. To remember that I was Margot, a complete person, not just an extension of my son. When I told Trevor about Paul, I braced myself for a reaction. Maybe jealousy, maybe disapproval. Instead, he smiled. "I'm happy for you, Mom," he said. "You deserve to have someone treat you well. You deserve to be happy." "It's not serious," I said quickly. "Just casual dating." "Even so," Trevor said. "You deserve good things. You've spent so much of your life giving to me. It's time you did something for yourself." It was such a reversal from the son who'd excluded me from his life, who'd made me feel like I was asking too much by wanting to be included. This new Trevor, more self-aware, more considerate, more present, felt like a gift I'd never expected to receive. Trevor's divorce from Vanessa was finalized on a grey Tuesday in November, almost a year after their secret wedding. Trevor called me right after he left the courthouse. "It's done," he said. "It's officially over." "How do you feel?" I asked. "Relieved," Trevor said immediately. "Sad for what I thought it was going to be, but relieved that it's finally over. Vanessa fought it every step of the way, tried to drag it out, tried to get me to come back. But I held firm. My therapist says I should be proud of that." "I'm proud of you," I said. So proud. "Want to have dinner tonight?" Trevor asked. "My treat. We can celebrate my freedom." "I'd love that." That evening, over Italian food at a small restaurant downtown, Trevor raised his glass of wine. "A toast," he said. "To endings that are really beginnings, to learning from mistakes, to second chances, and to the one person who never gave up on me, even when I gave her every reason to." We clinked glasses, and I felt a surge of love and gratitude so powerful it took my breath away. We'd been through hell and back, Trevor and I. We'd hurt each other, and failed each other, and nearly lost each other completely. But we'd survived. We'd found our way back to each other. And maybe our relationship now was even stronger because it had been tested and broken and carefully, painfully rebuilt. "I love you, Mum," Trevor said. "I know I don't say it enough, but I do. So much." "I love you too, sweetheart," I said. "Always have. Always will." It wasn't a perfect ending. We still had work to do, conversations to have, healing to continue. But it was an ending that felt like hope, like possibility, like the beginning of something better. And for now, that was more than enough. We're almost at the end of this journey together, but there's still one more chapter to come. A chapter about true healing, about lessons learned, about what it means to rebuild a relationship from the ground up. If this story has moved you, if you've found pieces of yourself in Margot's pain and Trevor's redemption, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment telling me your thoughts. Your engagement doesn't just help this channel grow, it creates a community of people who understand that family relationships are complicated, that forgiveness is a process, that healing is possible even from the deepest wounds. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the final part of this story. Trust me, you'll want to see how it all comes together. 2 years have passed since that devastating phone call that shattered my world. 2 years since I learned my son had married without me. 2 years of grief, anger, therapy, healing, and rebuilding. Sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night, my heart pounding, reliving that moment when Vanessa looked at me and said, "We only invited special people." The wound has healed, But the scar remains, a permanent reminder of the pain, but also of the strength I discovered in surviving it. My life today looks nothing like it did 2 years ago, and I mean that in the best possible way. Trevor and I have dinner together every Sunday without fail. It's sacred time, protected fiercely by both of us. We cook together in my kitchen, sometimes his favorite pot roast, sometimes new recipes we want to try. We talk about everything and nothing: work stories, books we're reading, people we've met, dreams we're chasing. The conversations flow easily now, without the underlying tension that used to colour every interaction, without the fear that saying the wrong thing might drive him away, without the desperate need to hold on so tightly that I suffocated what I was trying to protect. Dr. Voice, Chen helped me understand that dynamic, how my fear of losing Trevor had sometimes manifested in ways that felt heavy to him, even though my intentions were pure love. How I'd made him the center of my entire universe in a way that was ultimately unhealthy for both of us. You can love someone completely without making them your whole world, Dr. Chen had told me. In fact, you love them better when you have a world of your own. So I built a world of my own. The mentoring program at the youth center has become one of the most fulfilling parts of my life. I work with 15 teenagers now, mostly from single-parent homes, helping them navigate the challenges I understand so intimately. Helping them with homework, yes, but also with life. Teaching them that their circumstances don't define their futures, that they are worthy of love and success and happiness regardless of where they come from. One of my mentees, a girl named Jasmine, reminds me so much of myself at her age. Brilliant and hard-working, but convinced she doesn't deserve good things because her family is poor and her father is absent. I've watched her blossom over the past year, seen her start to believe in herself, seen her apply to colleges she never would have considered before. "You changed my life, Miss Margot," Jasmine told me last week when she got her acceptance letter to Northwestern University with a full scholarship. She was crying happy tears, waving the letter like a victory flag. "No, honey," I'd said, pulling her into a hug. "You changed your own life. You did the work. You believed in yourself. I just reminded you of what was already there." But watching her succeed, watching all of them succeed, fills a space in my heart that was empty for so long. I'm making a difference in these kids' lives. I matter to them, and they matter to me. The book club women have become my closest friends. We meet every other Tuesday to discuss whatever we're reading, but honestly, half the time we just drink wine and talk about our lives. These women have seen me at my worst, sobbing about Trevor, angry about Vanessa, lost and broken and barely holding it together. And they've celebrated with me at my best, rebuilding my relationship with my son, discovering new purposes, learning to stand on my own. Beth, who's been divorced twice, told me once, "You're the strongest woman I know, Margot. You took something that would have destroyed most people, and you turned it into fuel for becoming someone even better." I don't always feel strong, but I'm learning that strength isn't about never breaking. It's about putting yourself back together after you shatter. It's about choosing to keep going even when staying broken would be easier. And then there's Paul. What started as casual dating 2 years ago has evolved into something real, something solid, something that fills my life with unexpected joy. Paul is everything Vanessa accused me of not deserving: kind, respectful, supportive, genuinely interested in who I am as a person beyond just being someone's mother. He's met Trevor multiple times now. The first meeting was awkward, both of them nervous, both trying too hard to make a good impression. But by the end of dinner, they were laughing together, discovering shared interests in baseball and classic movies. "I like him, Mom," Trevor told me afterward. He treats you the way you deserve to be treated, like you're valuable, like you're special. There was that word again. Special. It doesn't hurt anymore when I hear it. Now it feels like reclaiming something that was stolen from me. Paul proposed last month. Nothing elaborate. We were hiking in a state park we both love, and he stopped at a scenic overlook, took my hand, and asked if I'd spend the rest of my life with him. I said yes. Not because I need someone to complete me. I've learned that I'm complete on my own. But because I want to share my life with someone who sees me, values me, loves me for exactly who I am. The wedding is planned for next spring. Small and intimate, just the way I want it. And Trevor will be there, front and center, walking me down the aisle. "I'm so happy for you, Mum," Trevor said when I told him about the engagement. "You deserve this happiness. You deserve someone who loves you the way Paul does." "I never thought I'd get married again," I admitted. "After your father left, after everything with you and Vanessa, I thought maybe I was just meant to be alone." "You were never meant to be alone," Trevor said firmly. "You were just waiting for the right person at the right time, and you were becoming the person you needed to be to have a healthy relationship." His insight surprised me. This Trevor, thoughtful, self-aware, emotionally intelligent, is someone I'm still getting to know, someone I'm incredibly proud of. Trevor has continued his therapy and has made remarkable progress. He's learned to recognize unhealthy patterns in relationships. He's learned to trust his own judgment. He's learned that being a good partner doesn't mean sacrificing your autonomy or cutting off everyone else in your life. 6 months ago, he started dating someone new. Her name is Jenna, and she's a pediatric nurse, warm, funny, confident in a healthy way. The difference between Jenna and Vanessa is stark and immediate. When Trevor first introduced us, Jenna hugged me warmly and said, "Mrs. Bradford, I've heard so much about you. Trevor talks about you all the time. He's so proud of you." Not threatened by me, not trying to compete with me, just genuinely happy to meet her boyfriend's mother. We've had dinner together several times now, and I can see the difference in Trevor when he's with Jenna. He's relaxed. He's himself. He laughs freely, expresses his opinions without checking first to see if they're acceptable, talks about his friends and family without anxiety. "She's wonderful," I told Trevor after one of those dinners. "I can see how happy she makes you." "She is wonderful," Trevor agreed. "But Mum, I need you to know something. Even if things don't work out with Jenna, even if I date 100 different people before I find the right one, I will never again let someone make me choose between them and you. I will never again let someone convince me that loving my mother is unhealthy or wrong. I learned that lesson the hardest way possible, and I'm never forgetting it." Those words meant everything to me, not because I needed reassurance, though it was nice to hear, but because they showed how much Trevor had grown, how much he'd learned from the painful experience with Vanessa. Last month, Trevor asked if he could come over to talk about something important. My heart jumped. After everything we'd been through, I still sometimes feared that important meant bad news. But when he arrived, he was smiling. Nervous, but smiling. "Mum, I have something to ask you," he said once we'd settled on the couch with tea. "Okay," I said cautiously. "Jenna and I have been talking about the future," Trevor began, "about what we want our lives to look like. And one of the things we both agree on is that when we do get married, and we're not there yet, but we're headed in that direction, we want to do it right. We want our wedding to be about celebrating love and family and bringing people together, not excluding anyone or making anyone feel small." I nodded, not sure where this was going. "And I was thinking," Trevor continued, his voice getting emotional, about the wedding you never got to have, the mother of the groom moment that was stolen from you, the photos that don't exist, the dance we never had, the toast you never got to make. Tears were already streaming down my face. I can't give you back that day, Trevor said. But when Jenna and I do get married, I want to do something special. I want you to help plan the whole thing. I want your input on every detail. The flowers, the venue, the menu, the music, everything. I want you to go dress shopping with Jenna. I want you to be part of every moment leading up to the wedding and every moment during it. Trevor, I whispered, unable to say more through the tears. And Mom. Trevor took my hand. I want us to have a mother-son dance. I want to publicly thank you for everything you've done for me, for the sacrifices you made, for the unconditional love you've given me even when I didn't deserve it. I want everyone there to know how special you are to me. I was sobbing now, unable to hold back the emotions flooding through me. Joy, healing, gratitude, love. I would love that, I managed to say. I would love all of that. Trevor pulled me into a hug, and we both cried. Healing tears, happy tears, tears that washed away the last remnants of the pain from 2 years ago. I'm going to make this right, Mom, Trevor said. I'm going to give you the wedding experience you should have had. Better late than never, right? Right, I agreed, laughing through my tears. Better late than never. Looking back on the past 2 years, I've learned so much about myself, about relationships, about resilience, about what really matters in life. I've learned that you can survive things you think will destroy you. That heartbreak, as devastating as it feels in the moment, doesn't have to be the end of your story, that you can take something terrible and use it as a catalyst for growth and transformation. I've learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. That standing up for yourself, even when it's hard, even when it causes conflict, is an act of self-respect. That you teach people how to treat you by what you're willing to accept. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing. It means choosing not to let someone else's actions define your future. It means releasing the poison of resentment so it doesn't corrode your own soul. I've learned that being a good mother doesn't mean sacrificing your entire identity. That you can love your child completely while still having a life, interests, relationships, and purposes beyond motherhood. That, in fact, you love them better when you're a whole, fulfilled person, rather than someone whose entire sense of worth depends on them. I've learned that it's never too late to build the life you want. That at 51, or 61, or 71, you can still discover new passions, form new relationships, create new purposes. That age doesn't limit possibility, only fear does. And I've learned that the relationships worth having are the ones that can weather storms and come out stronger. Trevor and I have been through hell together. Our relationship was broken, maybe even destroyed. But we chose to rebuild it. We chose to do the hard work of healing and forgiveness and growth. And what we have now is stronger, healthier, more honest than what we had before. Last Sunday, Trevor and I were making pot roast together in my kitchen, the same meal I'd made for our first dinner with Vanessa all those years ago. But this time, everything was different. The atmosphere was light, filled with laughter and easy conversation. No tension. No walking on eggshells. Just a mother and son enjoying each other's company. You know what I was thinking about today? Trevor said as he chopped vegetables. What's that? How lucky I am, he said. How lucky I am that you didn't give up on me, that you kept the door open even when I slammed it in your face, that you loved me enough to let me go and wise enough to welcome me back. You're my son, I said simply. That's what love does. It endures, it hopes, it perseveres. I know that now, Trevor said, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you know how much I appreciate it, how much I appreciate you. We finished cooking in comfortable silence, and as we sat down to eat, I looked around my kitchen, at the photos on the refrigerator, at the flowers on the table, at my son sitting across from me, and felt profound gratitude. This wasn't the life I'd imagined 2 years ago when I stood in this same kitchen, holding those champagne flutes, learning my son had married without me. That day, I thought my life was over. I thought the pain would destroy me. I thought I'd lost my son forever. But I was wrong about all of it. My life wasn't over. It was beginning. The pain didn't destroy me. It transformed me. And I didn't lose my son. I found him again, in a deeper, truer way than before. 6 months from now, when Trevor and Jenna get married, I'll be there. I'll help Jenna find the perfect dress. I'll give input on the flowers and the music and the menu. I'll sit in the front row, exactly where a mother should sit. I'll watch my son marry a woman who loves him and respects him, and would never ask him to choose between her and his family. And when Trevor and I have our mother-son dance, when he publicly thanks me and tells everyone how much I mean to him, I'll hold him close and remember all of it. The pain and the healing, the breaking and the rebuilding, the journey from devastation to joy. The champagne flutes I bought 2 years ago still sit in my cabinet. I've never used them for their intended purpose, but I'm saving them now. Saving them for Trevor and Jenna's wedding, for the celebration I'll actually be part of, for the toast I'll finally get to make. And when I raise that glass, I won't be toasting to what might have been. I'll be toasting to what is, to survival, to healing, to second chances, to the unbreakable bond between a mother and son, to the truth that even the deepest wounds can heal if you're willing to do the work. I'll be toasting to the fact that I am special, that I always was, that Vanessa's cruel words never had the power to change that truth. And I'll be toasting to the woman I've become, stronger, wiser, more complete than I ever was before. A woman who learned that she could survive her worst nightmare and come out the other side not just intact, but transformed. My name is Margot Bradford. I'm 53 years old. 2 years ago, I wasn't invited to my son's wedding, and it nearly destroyed me. But I survived. I healed. I grew. I rebuilt. And now I'm preparing to attend a different wedding, the right wedding, the one where I'm not just invited. I'm honored. I'm celebrated. I'm valued. The one where I'm exactly what I always was, even when I couldn't see it myself. Special. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Thank you for witnessing this story of heartbreak and healing, of loss and redemption, of breaking and rebuilding. If this story touched your heart, if you saw yourself or someone you love in these struggles, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling me your story. Have you experienced family estrangement? Have you had to rebuild a broken relationship? Have you discovered strength you didn't know you had? Your story matters. Your voice matters. And you never know who might need to hear exactly what you have to say. Subscribe to Aunt Uju Voice for more stories that honor the complicated, beautiful, painful, triumphant reality of human relationships. Stories that don't offer easy answers, but do offer hope. Stories that remind us that we're not alone in our struggles. And remember, no matter what you're going through, no matter how broken you feel, no matter how dark the moment seems, you are stronger than you know. You can survive what feels unsurvivable. You can heal from wounds that seem fatal. You can build a beautiful life from the rubble of your worst nightmare. You are special. You always were. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Until next time, this is Aunt Uju Voice, reminding you that every ending is also a beginning, every wound eventually scars, and every scar is evidence that you survived. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being here. God bless you all.